সেই লাইফকে সুন্দর করতে গেলে যে জীবন চলনা, যে ডিসিপ্লিন লাইফ, the word discipline comes from the word disciple. First you have to be a good and dedicated disciple, then only your life will be disciplined. Thank you, sir. Our next topic is food, mood and medical students' mind. Eating right to think better. Our speaker is Dr. Souvik Sahu. He is DM Gastroenterology from Archikon Medical College, Senior Resident. Please, Dr. Souvik Sahu. সমস্যা যে স্যারগুলো বললেন, এবার সমাধানের দিকে আমরা যাচ্ছি।
থ্যাংক ইউ। সবাইকে জয়গুরু। আর এই একটা দারুণ একটা অর্গানাইজেশন প্যানাসিয়াতে সবাই আপনারা এসেছেন, তার জন্য আমি খুবই কৃতজ্ঞ। এবং এই স্টেজে আমি যে একটা সেমিনার প্রেজেন্ট করতে পারছি, আই এম ভেরি মাচ থ্যাঙ্কফুল টু দ্য অর্গানাইজিং কমিটি। তো আজকের আমার টপিক অফ ডিসকাশন হচ্ছে food, mood and medical students' mind, eating right to think better. So today's topic of discussion, I will be going through the unmet need of this seminar, why this seminar is important in our day-to-day life, the importance of vegetarian diet, dietary patterns and their impact on mental health, concept of microbiota and its shaping in health and disease, emotional regulation and appetite control, is veganism the future? And some take-home messages. So, first of all, let's come to the fact that why this topic matters for medical students. So, as a medical student, when I was MBBS in 2008, so what matters most for our medical students is that in our mind, there are 4 factors which constantly hover in our mind. That is dependence on junk food and stimulants, stress, anxiety and burnouts. We used to study long study hours, so long study hours is very much detrimental to mental health and also physical health, and irregular eating habits. So the concept of food, mind and connection. So food influences mood, attention, memory, emotional control. So let's see what our Sri Thakur used to say about this concept of food mind connection. That is, what you eat silently shapes what you think. So what is Thakur's philosophy on food? Food is functional and not indulgent. That is, the food we are taking, what is the purpose of food intake? It is to maintain the health, that is the first and foremost thing. Second is to enhance the intellect, and third is to sustain discipline. So what our beloved Sri Thakur used to say is that eat to live rightly and not to satisfy craving. It's a very important line, that is, eat to live rightly but not to satisfy our craving. Now let's come to one journal, that is, it is being published in Nutritional Journal in 2010, And here they have studied vegetarian diets which are associated with healthy mood states, a cross-sectional study in seventh day Adventist adults. And here, why this study is important? Because there are practically around 60 to 70% of the people are omnivorous and very few people are vegetarians. So, limited research regarding mental status of vegetarians, and also vegetarian diets lack fish, and as we all know that fish is a major dietary source of eicosapentaenoic acid and docosahexaenoic acid, which are the critical regulators of brain cell function. And here in this study, 138 subjects have been taken, with vegetarians 60 and omnivorous are 78. And here they have actually calculated a score, that is DAS score and POMS score. Now I am not going into the details of this score. DAS score is a depression anxiety score and POMS is the mood functional score. And here they have actually shown that there is less negative emotion as measured by DAS and POMS score who are vegetarian. And also the vegetarians reported lower mean intake of eicosapentaenoic and docosahexaenoic acid, as well as omega-6 fatty acid, amino acids, and also higher intake of short chain, that is linoleic acid. And people want to ask that the fish, which is the most important dietary source of eicosapentaenoic acid and docosahexaenoic acid, so it is important for brain regulation and also to maintain the brain health. But in this study, they have scripted that DAS and POMS positively related to EPA, that is eicosapentaenoic acid, that is p-value is less than 0.05, and also docosahexaenoic acid, it is also statistically significant, but inversely related to alpha-linoleic acid. What this line means is that the people who are taking vegetarian diet, which are rich in alpha-linoleic acid, they have less depression and less mood as correlated in the DAS and POMS score. This is a very interesting study which has been published in Nature journal in 2024 by Ruiz Su group, and here they have seen the dietary patterns which are related to attention, that is very much important, who are in the medical fields, who are in work, they are the manual labor workers, where attention is of utmost importance, and also high altitude migrants. And here they have taken 116 Han Chinese students from Tibetan University, and the duration of the study is 2 years. These students stayed there in the high altitude for 2 years, and 5 dietary patterns they have actually taken. The first pattern is the coarse grain pattern, second pattern is the alcohol, the diets with alcohol, third is the meat-rich diet, fourth is very protein-rich diet, and fifth is different types of snacking, that is snacking type of diet. And average age of all the students is 20.65 years. And in this study, they have shown that coarse grain diet, who have the students who have taken the coarse grain diet, they had high MCH, that is mean corpuscular hemoglobin levels, and performed better networking analysis, and also higher intake of meat and alcoholic beverages, performed worse in alerting network. Now this study, by how they have performed this alerting network, they have actually calculated different types of scores, and from these scores they have shown that the non-vegetarian persons, the persons who are alcoholic, the persons who are taking red meat especially, they have very poor alerting network functions. Now, type of food and their mental impact. Now, what our Sri Thakur used to say, that take wholesome fresh food because it provides clarity and calmness. Avoid stale, excess spicy and junk food because it leads to restlessness and dullness. And overeating, what we do, I also did, it actually causes lethargy and poor concentration. So let's see what our Sri Thakur used to say. Excess is as harmful as deficiency. And also, the mind collapses long before the body appears sick. That is, when we are sick, long before we are actually mentally ill. So, to keep our mental health very strong, we should eat fresh foods. Now, consequently, this slide, in reference to the previous slide, this is a very important slide which is being published in Nature, and here they have shown that how the vegetarian diet and the non-vegetarian diet, how it affects our gut microbiota. Here in this cartoon we can see that the patients in the left side of the in your right side, that is the patients who are taking non-vegetarian diets, they actually by acid hydrolysis they produce different types of amino acids like sulfur amino acids and aromatic amino acids, and these amino acids by different sulfate reduction, deamination and decarboxylation, they actually decrease the mucus secretion. And as we all know that colonic mucus is very good for our health, and if this intestinal barrier gets lost, then that is the root cause of the disease problem. So when there is a decrease in mucus secretion, there is an increase in luminal pH, and all the oxidant particles, they actually destroy the intestinal epithelial cells and activate the pattern associated molecular pattern, that is PAM. And from this is the first knockout thing that actually causes disease. And from this we can see that the patients actually increase in blood glucose, there is increase in metabolic endotoxemia, and also decrease in glucose stimulated insulin secretion. And in the left side we can see that the patients who are having diet low in animal fat and protein but high in plant fibers, they actually after acid hydrolysis they produce indigestible but fermentable polysaccharides, and that is very important for short chain fatty acid production, which is all we know that we are in the MCQ generation, that is short chain fatty acid is the food for colonic epithelial cells. So colon becomes healthy, and by the these short chain fatty acids, that is propionate, acetate and butyrate, these three short chain fatty acids act on this G protein coupled receptor and increases polypeptide YY hormone and GLP-1, and thereby increases beta oxidation, helps in lipid metabolism, controls the blood glucose, and also increases the glucose stimulated insulin secretion. So, what is the quality of food and quantity of knowledge? How we eat and how that food actually matters in our mind, impacts in our mental health. Now, medical students often prioritize syllabus completion. We have to complete the syllabus early. We have to crack NEET PG, we have to crack NEET SS. That is the foremost thing that is hovering in our medical students' mind. Second is the exam, utmost pressure in the MBBS exams, and third is the sleep deprivation. Because before MBBS exams, many students, we know that they actually sleep 2 to 3 hours. But actually it is very detrimental to health and also detrimental to exams and also marks. So let's see what Sri Thakur used to say regarding this quality of food. Thakur says, quality of nourishment precedes quality of cognition. So important line. That is, how we take the nourishment from the food, it actually precedes the quality of cognition. And so, a fatigued brain cannot produce clarity. however intelligent he may be. He may be good in studies, but before exams, if he studies, if he takes junk food, then he cannot excel in examination. Now this is again one journal regarding these ultra processed foods, what Thakur used to say. It is published in Clinical Gastroenterology and Hepatology, and it is a prospective cohort study. And here in this cartoon we can see that in the study population, it is a very big study, and around 2,45,000 participants are there, and they are being followed up for around 6 years. That is around 5,468,000 for 44 person years. And the result of this study is that ultra processed breads, breakfast foods, frozen meals, ready to eat meals, and sauces, spreads, canned fish, they are associated with Crohn's disease. Now what about overstimulation, junk food and mental restlessness? Now this is again one paper regarding this overstimulation, junk food that we are eating and how it impacts our mental health, because nowadays we are very much dependent upon the ready to eat foods, but we don't know these ready to eat foods are very much detrimental to our health, because these ready to eat foods have got emulsifiers, and these emulsifiers actually increase the bad bacteria which are bad for our health and decreases the good bacteria. It hampers the gut microbiota. Also, the artificial sweeteners that we used to take, it increases the lipopolysaccharide, which is the endotoxin that we all know, and also it decreases the butyrate synthesis. The food colors that we used to take, that is the most important, as we can see, যদি আমরা বিভিন্ন প্যাকেটে দেখি red 40 yellow 6 বলে এরকম প্রোডাক্ট থাকে, তো these products they actually decrease the good bacteria, our commensal bacteria, and increases the Arachidibacteria phylum, which is very much detrimental for colonic cells. And the fifth is the nanoparticles, because now there are different studies that have been shown that the fish are having the nanoplastics inside them, and the people who are consuming fish, they are actually consuming the nanoplastics. It is being published in around 1 to 2 years ago in Nature. So that is very bad for health. Now what is the philosophical observation? What actually these type of foods we take, why we take, আমরা কেন খাই? Because that actually pleasures our tongue. But excessive taste stimulation leads to mental agitation, that we actually have to learn this thing. আমাদেরকে ওটা লাগাম লাগাতে হবে জিভে। And ultra processed foods, this dysregulates the dopamine pathways, and it promotes impulsivity and inattention. So what Thakur used to say is that craving dominates the mind long after the tongue is satisfied. So important. Now what about the emotional regulation and appetite control? Now this is the famous study about 5,000 citations in this study, and here in this study they have actually this Marilia group published in Annals of Gastroenterology. Here the first concept of gut-brain axis actually came in this world. Here in this picture, what they have actually studied is that how our brain and our gut is interrelated, because this brain actually controls our gut and gut also controls our brain. How? As we all know that the limbic system, which consists of amygdala and hypothalamus, along with concert with the hypophyseal pituitary axis. I am not going into the details, because we all know that hypothalamus produces corticotropin releasing hormone, which acts on adrenal cortex releasing ACTH and thereby releasing cortisol. This cortisol hormone is to some extent good, but this cortisol has got varied actions on the end organs, and that causes hypertension, that causes IBS, to some extent that causes different types of mental problems, also CVA, different types of problems. So in this study they have actually shown that how if we calm our brain, if we decrease the emotional stress, then this limbic system will get less activated, less cortisol will be secreted, and if less cortisol is secreted, then the enteric nervous system will be less stimulated. And also we all know that there are in our colleges we actually see different types of MBBS students. They take very much amount of stress and they actually complain of going to toilet around 7 to 8 times. During exams they actually have palpitations that our previous speaker sir told that general anxiety disorder. These are all things are interlinked, that is the psychiatrical disease, this IBS, because all these emotions, these are being controlled by the limbic system. So if we eat healthy, then this limbic system will be well controlled, so will be our gut will be healthy. So let's see what our Thakur used to say regarding this brain-gut axis around 100 years back. Appetite controls, strengthens emotional balance, and also he who governs the appetite governs the emotion. So a good and healthy lifestyle is the mantra to success in life. Now this is one journal published in Nature in 2025. This is a very big study about the gut microbiome signatures of vegan and omnivorous diets in around 21,560 individuals. And in this study, they have actually shown that in omnivore diet, the good bacteria, that is the A. putridis, B. what they are linked to meat, they has implications in IBD. Sorry, these are the bad bacteria. And colorectal carcinoma is more predominant in omnivorous diets with short chain fatty acids less in this particular subset of patients. And what about the vegan microbiome? They are high in good microbiota, that is Lactobacillus, Butyricius. They are all short chain fatty acid producers with healthy gut. And what about the high dietary fiber intake? They favors firmicutes and bacteroids ratio, that is good for IBS patients. So, a meticulously curated vegan diet epitomizes the zenith of nutritional elegance, fortifying vitality while orchestrating a symphony of holistic wellness. So next slide will be for our audience. So the first question is, how many of us can honestly say that we eat primarily to support our studies and mental performance rather than for taste or convenience? Anyone? Anyone can try. How many of us can honestly say that we eat primarily to support our studies and mental performance rather than for taste or convenience? I think the answer will be very few. So as future doctors, you all will be the future doctors. So as future doctors, would you prescribe a lifestyle to patients that you yourself do not follow? Anyone? No one. So the third question, isn't stress a bigger factor than food? So the first 15 slides I am constantly speaking about food. but whether the stress is getting an upper hand than food in managing our mental health. What do you all think? No one. All are smiling. And is there strong evidence linking diet with academic performance? Personally, I feel that till now, 2026, there is not enough strong evidence that diet has got that is the diets we are taking is linked with academic performance, but there are some studies, there are some randomized controlled trials that actually says that if we eat healthy, if we eat vegan diet, and if we actually eat diets which are high in dietary fibers, fresh fruits, vegetables, that actually soothes our mind and actually sharpens our intellect, but not that level of recommendation is around B. So we actually say A is the high recommendation. So I personally feel that till now there is not very much strong evidence. How many of us burn late night oil tormenting our brain before MBBS examination? Everybody. Me also, I have also burnt late night oil before MBBS examination. So these are all bad for our health. And after this seminar, I feel that you all are MBBS students, maximum of the MBBS students, you should keep in your mind that too much brain work before examination is not good. It is not good for health, it is not good for studies, it is not good for MBBS marks. So you should prepare early, eat healthy, and you should be fit to become a good doctor, to serve the society. And so, what are the take-home messages? Food influences mood, and mood influences mind, and mind influences the doctor we become. And Thakur does not prescribe extremes. This line is very important. I should request everyone to pay attention that Thakur does not prescribe extremes. Eita kortei hobe, oita kortei hobe. No. Eat fresh, eat timely, eat consciously, and avoid indulgence. Thakur's insight align with nutritional psychiatry, lifestyle medicine, and preventive neuroscience. And food discipline is a moral training including self-restraint. আমি কোনটা খাবো না সেটা আমাকেই ভাবতে হবে। আমি দুম করে গিয়ে ওখানে গিয়ে চপ মুড়ি খেয়ে ফেললাম বাঁকুড়াতে গিয়ে, এটা চলবে না, বা মেদিনীপুরে গিয়ে, আমার এমবিবিএস মিদনাপুর থেকে। তো দ্যাটস ইট। And Thakur's emphasis on fresh, simple, digestible food, avoidance of excess, staleness, and indulgence. So, pleasing the irritation of hunger with easy absorption gives nourishment. Also, awareness, not restriction. Awareness sustains discipline. Right nourishment leads to right thought, and right thought leads to right action. A very important line for would-be doctors. And also, simplicity in food preserves alertness in mind. Thank you.